Boa tarde. Falando aqui, como eu já disse, de Forno Alegre, cobertura do South Summit 2024. Estamos aqui com o Erik da Dell Technologies, ele é responsável por vendas para SMB. Um papo rápido aqui que a gente vai ter a ideia de soltar alguns vídeos rápidos aqui durante o South Summit. A ideia é falar um pouco sobre cloud e como é que uma empresa como a Dell, que vende hardware, né, nesse mundo de tecnologia e nuvem, como é que uma empresa como a Dell se posiciona nesse cenário. Entrevista em inglês, mas a gente vai deixar legendado aqui em português. So, Erik, thank you so much for your time. In a world that everything's in the cloud or is cloud-based, how does a company like Dell thrive? I mean, you're not gonna be selling servers to startups, right?
I love this question. I think, to be honest, that you have it a little bit wrong. I mean, I think in a lot of ways that people want to make data and the way they want to use their data completely binary. True, I wouldn't say that a lot of startups don't start on the cloud, but as they attract and they actually grow their database and they actually think about how they're going to use their data, they have to have a different choice. And so the great thing that Dell is always talking about is that multi-cloud is really what's here to stay, right? If people want choice, people want to be able to do different things, because the fact of the matter is that as you continue to grow the amount of data that you have in your company, cost becomes a concern, security becomes a concern, productivity becomes a concern, and you need to be able to get that data fast and be productive, and sometimes being able to have something closer to your chest or either on-prem or in a co-location, which allows us to multi-cloud is really good. And now companies like Dell are offering subscription-based and consumption-based models in order for you to pay monthly. So it's almost like you don't even have it or own it, because we can actually sell that server capability and that storage capability through Apex, which is a subscription-based or consumption-based model.
So you don't have to use the money you raise from VC to buy equipment, right? You can hire.
But what we're even seeing from startups, especially fast-growing startups, is they want that. Their data is their most important asset that they have. There's no more important intellectual property in 2024 than your data. It's ultimately how you target, it's how you get customers, it's how you ultimately drive and adopt AI. The list goes on, right? It is so incredibly important, and to have that closer to you and be able to secure yourself and manage it yourself and process it yourself is really, really important to a lot of startups that I talk to.
Yeah, I was at South by Southwest last week.
Yeah.
We didn't see each other there, but I was in Austin.
I was unfortunately not there.
Oh, you're not there? Okay.
I'm here this week.
But I was at a panel. The panelists said that the cloud is the Hotel California of the internet.
Yeah.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. So I wouldn't say there's a backlash, but there's some questioning about the cloud today, right?
And that's the whole point. I think we're trying to make something so binary that's very unbinary, right? You don't have to make a single choice when it comes to the way that you want to manage your enterprise, right? You can have some apps and some things on the public cloud. You can have some data and some apps and some intellectual property that you want on-prem or in a co-location that you buy, or through a different subscription-based model. So there is a way to privatize some of your workloads if that's what you decide to do. And like I said before, when it comes to your intellectual property, when it comes to your own personal data, you have to think about cost, you have to think about security, and you have to think about productivity.
But when you say, but one of the points at this panel was that the founder that was arguing against the cloud, I forgot his name, but in 2022 they announced they were going to leave the cloud, and now they're doing it. We wrote an article about it, and he was saying that, why should I spend so much money with Amazon when I can call Dell and get a server in 2-3 days for the same price or less, and I keep the hardware?
Yeah.
But this is easy in the US when you get a hardware in 2-3 days.
Yeah.
But in Brazil, when you have less equipment availability, less talent, less people available, how do you manage that?
Well, it kind of all depends on what infrastructure you as a startup are going to do.
Okay.
Again, I'm not as familiar with the Brazil market as I am for the US market, but my guess is that, and I talked about this a couple of times, co-locations and CSPs are becoming incredibly, incredibly valuable. You can rent space somewhere else and have your own infrastructure, right? That's the cool thing about software-based storage and virtualization, and we can connect to your private cloud, we can connect to your private cloud, we can stream it into your network, right? This is all the wonderful things that Dell can do, right? If you are just one or the other, you don't get that choice, right? And so I think that it's really not about, and I appreciate what the person on that panel is talking about, but I truly believe that it's a blend of both to make it worth your value of what you want to do. I do think that because capital, especially in places in Brazil, is so incredibly important, you cannot wake up to a cloud bill based on the amount of data that I mean, a lot of these companies have been hearing pitching, they're so data focused, they're all like, there's tons and tons and tons of data, and that becomes really expensive. And so we want to just make sure that we are giving alternatives where you can ultimately mix and match where you want to put what applications and what workloads in the public cloud and in your private cloud. And we'll make sure that we have all the technology to hook both of those up so that you can have the easiest access to your workloads that you need.
Yeah, that's
what's good about working with Dell. Right? The pure cloud companies can't have that conversation because they're not enterprise companies. They're not infrastructure companies. They're cloud companies. And so the great thing about Dell is we are truly an end-to-end solution providers for our customer, right? Even in my team, in my SMB team, in my acquisition team, where we're trying to go after new customers, one of the very first things I want my technology advisors asking a customer is, what's your cloud strategy? What's your data strategy? Let us actually work with you on that strategy because we have the capabilities of doing that. Not every company has the end-to-end solutions portfolio that Dell does to be able to have that conversation.
And I think very few startups have that, a cloud or data strategy. I mean, that's just right. Okay, I'll do this today on the cloud, but I don't know how it's going to look like in 3 to 5 years, right?
As you think about this explosion of AI, as you think about the absolute value of your data, you have to spend time on it. It's the best advice I can give to startups and entrepreneurs, that you have to spend time on your technology strategy, right? It is the future. It is everything that you do, whether it's writing an email to a customer, whether it's analyzing your customer data to figure out what offers to send them, whether it is looking at your finances to understand what you need to do next in order to be able to go from the red to the black. I mean, I can list off 1,000 different things that small businesses and medium businesses have to do, and startups and entrepreneurs. It's all technology based. And the better your technology is, the better you're analyzing your data, the faster you can actually do that, so you can get back to work finding new customers and building your new product and figuring out your next service.
So the message to founders is call Amazon, call AWS, call Google, call Microsoft, but call Dell as well.
That's right. I mean, I'm not sitting here with a blinder over my eyes thinking that the first stop that a small business doesn't go to or first startup goes to is one of the providers you just mentioned, right? We understand that that's the easiest way because you can set up your website, you can set up your apps, you can do all that other stuff. But as you're building all that and you start actually receiving customers' personal data, you are receiving all the other things that you're trying to collect in order to be able to fulfill whatever your business model is, you're going to notice that you can't risk if one of those providers gets hacked and you don't know, you can't, of course, and they go down and you're sitting there for 3 hours going, I can't access any of my data. That's not okay. Right? By being able to have the multi-cloud on your fingertips without that much more cost, it reduces, if somebody wants to come into our interview, it reduces your
it's AWS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shut up. It's reducing cost, and it's actually making your full portfolio of technology actually much cheaper, so that you can actually be more productive as a company. And when the cloud goes down, you have backup, you can get your data still, your team can continue working without the worry of wondering when the cloud is going to come back up.
Sure. Thank you, Erik.
Yeah, of course.
Fica ligado aí na cobertura do Startups do South Summit 2024.